This isn't really related to the book, but it happened on my morning walk, and I just kind of felt the need to come to share. Every day I walk a little bit, and today I went to the lake near my house, and it's kind of funny because normally I just like bypass the golf course that's right next to the lake, but today for some reason I decided to deviate and go through the golf course on the way back. And there's this one bit, because where I live there are a lot of wetlands, and so right in the middle of the golf course there's all these cattails, and like it's kind of swampy and it's weird, and it reminded me of something that I had read that said that Forrest Gump, the Nam scenes, they were filmed on a golf course. So I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm Forrest Gump. And I thought about how if I were to tell someone that, I would be like, did you know? And it reminded me of this time in college. I was at a party and I was sitting on the rooftop with a bunch of people, and someone very close to me looked over at me. We were all tipsy at this point. It's pretty late after a number of beverages. And this person just said to me, Hannah, tell me a weird fact. And thinking on that, it just brought me a lot of happiness. I mean, I don't really talk to this person anymore, which, not gonna lie, is a bummer. But just that connection to them in that moment, even if it was a memory, it was just really nice. And maybe I bring that up because my whole next book is kind of a little bit of a collection of memories. So, bonjour. I don't remember. Bienvenue. That's how you say welcome. I don't know how to say welcome back though. And I opened in French because this week I read Bonjour Tristesse by Françoise Sagan. And I apologize if my French accent is either really bad or really stereotypical. But, yeah, so this is a book that was published in the early 1950s. Sagan was only 18 when it came out, but she was about 17 when she wrote it. And it was really interesting reading the introduction because there's some speculations that it might be somewhat inspired by her own life, because the protagonist, although she's almost a bit of an anti-protagonist, because she's kind of one of those like little conniving, scheming 17-year-olds. But her name is Cecile, and she has spent a large portion of her youth in, I think she said convent learning. So I imagine like living with the nuns and learning from them. So like the epitome of Catholic school. And then in the last 2 years she has spent with her father. Her father's a widower, her mother died. But her father is just like very hedonistic. He's going to clubs, he's going to parties, he's taking Cecile with him, and they just have a lot of fun together. She's met a number of his mistresses, and the book starts out with Cecile, her father Raymond, and his current mistress Elsa vacationing, I think in the south of France. It's a beautiful villa outside of Paris, but there's the sea, so I don't really know French geography, but there you go. Anyway, so while she's there, she meets Cyril, who is a college boy. They have a little bit of a fling. Anyway, then there's this other woman, Anne, and Anne is an old friend of her mother's, and she ends up becoming Raymond, the father's new mistress, totally pushing Elsa out of the picture, which of course she's now the jilted woman. So little classic love triangle. And to complicate things further, Anne and Raymond, who since I'm guessing the death of his wife, Cecile's mother, he's kind of like one of those bachelor types, And so it comes to a shock to pretty much everyone that he's gonna marry Anne. And Anne's very sophisticated. She's like, when you think of silver screen Hollywood star, like, you know, just very classy. And that's not to say that Raymond and Cecile aren't, but their two, like, ways of life are just very different. And this is where the scheming comes in, because Cecile feels threatened, not because she thinks her father is going to stop, like, loving her or paying attention to her. I'm sorry, my dog is being very distracting. But because she doesn't want to feel judged by Anne. And so she starts, runs into Elsa, the first mistress. She recruits Cyril, who's like in love with her. And they come up with this plot to essentially make it seem as though Raymond and Elsa are gonna get back together. Drama ensues. Cecile may or may not, because I don't want to do spoilers, regret some/many of her actions. But yeah, it's just kind of a really interesting short story. I mean, it's only like 100 pages, a little more than that, of this young girl in France who's just like trying to kind of figure herself out and trying to figure out her life with her father, and it doesn't end up well for her, arguably, which is why she has to say Bonjour Tristesse, or hello to sadness. I really did like the book. I thought it was very well written. I actually really enjoyed the first person narrative, and I liked the fact that the story is told from a few months after the fact. I can't really think of any reason why you might not like the book, unless, like, I don't know, infidelities and sex are, like, triggering for you, perhaps. But even so, like, the descriptions aren't graphic, so I don't know. I think you would probably enjoy it, and it's a quick read, so even if you don't like it all that much, it's not going to take you very long to finish. And if you don't want to finish it, like, you're not missing out on a whole lot, because the story is relatively short. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be one of my favorites. Yeah, I think you should check it out. It's technically a classic, so, and I think it's really cool because I don't read a whole lot of French books, so this was kind of interesting to expand my repertoire. So that's all I have for Bonjour Tristesse. Next week I will be looking at Kate Wilhelm's A Wrongful Death. I know nothing about this book, and I haven't read, like, a crime mystery thing in a little bit, so this should be interesting. It's kind of funny because I found this book and Bonjour and another book actually at one of those little, like, lending library things, so I'm excited to see what this book is and maybe see why someone gave it up or not. Alright, that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for my little stint of absence, but I really hope that you